Hey guys, welcome back. It's Alex here, and today I'm going to give you my top 10 wide receiver rankings for this year's draft. So, starting off with number 1, we have Ceedee Lamb, 6'3", 190 pounds, out of Oklahoma. This guy's an absolute monster. He is able to tear up any Big 12 defense, and he is a true star on tape. This guy can make any route, he can make any catch, but when it comes to the NFL, I believe he has a little bit to work on with his route running, but his hands are second to none. He really does have an insane amount of talent, and I think any team that's going to get Ceedee Lamb is going to get an amazing talent and a franchise wide receiver. So, for his impact, I think he's going to have a 79.0 impact day one. I think he has some route running to fix up, like I stated before, and I think that if he's able to do that, then he already has the hands and everything you need to build a solid wide receiver. So his potential is 94 overall. I think that he has potential to be a DeAndre Hopkins type player. But overall, which is just 2 times the impact plus the potential, all divided by 3, is an 84.0, which is a solid grade. My comp to him right now is Stephon Diggs. He has all the traits that Stephon Diggs has. He has that route running ability, especially if he cleans it up, and he has those insane hands, and he's so good after the catch. Ceedee Lamb makes his specialty after the catch, and it is honestly so fun to watch him play. So I have a draft grade of early first. I think this guy's worth a top 10 pick easily. If it wasn't for DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cardinals, I would say Ceedee Lamb going back with Kyler Murray would be an amazing pair, but obviously they should address different issues. My team prediction is the Raiders. I think he's going to fall to number 12, or else the Raiders are going to move up. So this guy's an amazing talent. I think he's worthy of any pick within the top 10, and I think the Raiders might have to move up to get him because teams like the Eagles are probably going to be moving up as well. All right, going on to number 2, we have Henry Ruggs III, 5'11", 188 out of Alabama. So this is a little bit of a shocker here because a lot of people have Jeudy, who we're going to talk about at the next spot. But Henry Ruggs, watching him play is something that I just continue to drop my jaw at. He really has that jaw-dropping speed, and he has such a good run after the catch ability. This guy is able to stretch the field in ways that nobody else can. And unlike John Ross, he's not just some physical freak. He's able to run any route that you want him to. Granted, he's not going to be a Jerry Jeudy type when it comes to running routes, but this guy is so agile. He's so fun to watch. So I give him an impact of 75.0 just because I think that he's going to come in. He's going to be able to stretch the field, but I think he needs to work getting used to being around NFL cornerbacks. That said, being in the SEC is a very, very, very good sign for Henry Ruggs with the way he produced because of the fact that SEC has the best corners, in my opinion, apart from The Ohio State University. So his potential is 96, which is extremely high. And if you look down at the NFL comp, I say his high is Tyreek Hill. So insane speed, is able to break over any defense. And then his low is John Ross, just a super speed weapon. And John Ross still poses a threat, and he still has so much potential. People write him off already, and that's not cool. But so far, he's shown that he's a bust. So overall, he's an 82. He has a lot of potential, but he really does need to work out some of the kinks. And I think he's going to be going to the 49ers because they got torched by Tyreek Hill in the Super Bowl, and I think they have a little bit of PTSD. So they're going to want their own super weapon to be able to rewrite history. And I give him a first-round draft grade. I think he's super solid, and his potential is just too good to pass up on. All right, going to number 3, we have Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is on a lot of people's boards number 1. This guy is the do-it-all slot. He can run any route that you want. He has amazing speed, 4.4 yard, 40-yard dash speed, and he can do anything that you can want. My only problem with him is in this last season, he showed that he started dropping balls. It was like not very obvious before, but now it started becoming a little bit more apparent when I saw him drop some passes that he really should have caught from Tua. So impact grade is the highest out of anybody with an 80.0. I think this is because he's able to run any route that you want, and he can fit into almost any scheme just because he's so good. He can do so many things. And arguably, these top three are very, very, very minutely separated. As you can see, 83.7 overall, 82 before, and then 84. These guys are all extremely great talents. So potential 91, because I think he already has that elite athleticism and the route running ability. I think if he polishes up a little bit, he can really work into a number one wide receiver. So his overall is 83.7, and my comp from is Amari Cooper. I remember watching combine clips of Amari Cooper running these routes, and it was just mesmerizing to see him get so low in his drop. And I think that that's the same thing with Jeudy. And you may say number 3, like that doesn't seem that great, but these guys all deserve a mid to early first round draft pick, and I think they're going to. So I think they're getting selected where they should be and not where like the NFL is panicking or just letting them slip. My prediction is the Eagles. I think they're going to move up, to be 100% honest. We have in our realistic mock draft them taking Justin Jefferson, and I think that the Eagles are going to be so desperate for a number 1 wide receiver that they're going to move up and select Jerry Jeudy, which I think would be a brilliant move. Number 4, shocker here. My crush of the draft, Devin Duvernay, 5'11", 210 out of University of Texas at Austin. He is quite the athlete. He can run almost any route that you want him to, and my favorite part about him is when I watch him on tape, he can make anybody miss. He's able to lower the shoulder because he's 5'11", 210. He has all that weight in that small frame, and he's able to make any juke possible. If you look at the picture of him, he is so strong. He's very well built. He's very dense, and he can run so well, and he can run so many offenses. He's able to be a gadget weapon, and it's something that I think any NFL offense really could use. So his impact is a 76.0, higher than Henry Ruggs just because he has flexibility of scheme, which I think Henry Ruggs can use. He can only be really utilized in a certain way, but Devin Duvernay has so much potential. Even though his potential grade is lower than the other 3, he just doesn't have that athleticism and the route running skills that Jerry Jeudy has, that a Henry Ruggs has, the catching ability that a Ceedee Lamb has. But he is so close to these guys, and it's really, really fun to watch him. So my comp from is Alvin Kamara, which obviously it's not a wide receiver, but Alvin Kamara has that shiftiness. He has that route running ability. He's able to be put on the outside as a wide receiver and work really well. He's able to make anybody miss, and honestly, Alvin Kamara can truck a dude if he really wants to. I don't think he should, but he has that frame. So I give Devin Duvernay a draft grade of a first-round draft, so he's projected around like the 4th up to the 6th round, which it's like, I think he's worth a first-round draft pick. I watch this guy. He is a stud. And I think the Broncos are going to pick him up in the 3rd or the 4th. They need more of a slot type and a gadget player to work in that offense with Drew Lock and Courtland Sutton. And I think Devin Duvernay is a solid piece for them to add to that core. All right, going on to number 5, Denzel Mims. You guys will see a common thread here with the draft grades. I think this class is an extremely stacked class. So Denzel Mims out of Baylor. So this guy is a complete stud. He was a combine workout warrior, 4.39 or 3.8 40-yard dash. At that size is absolutely insane to combine those athletic traits. So this guy, he worked really, really well in that Baylor offense. I had a little bit of questions on him when I started watching him. He didn't really pop off tape too much. But the more I watched him, the more I kind of fell in love with his potential. So his impact is a 74.0. I think he has that Hakeem Butler type aspect to him where it's like it's a big dude who has some athleticism who can catch the ball. And that's basically his floor to me. My floor for him is Equinemius St. Brown just because 6'6" speed burner. But I think that Hakeem Butler is a solid comp for him as well. His potential is 90.0, and that's just because I think he could be that Julio Jones type player, and I really don't think he is Julio Jones, but I think he can reach something like a quasi Julio Jones where he's just like kind of a downgraded, more of like a clearance aisle Julio Jones, which is still a number 1 wide receiver on almost any team in the NFL. So he has a 79.3 overall grade. And obviously that potential to be able to unlock a clearance or on sale version of Julio Jones is way too good to pass up on if you're in the first. And I think that the Patriots, they really need some type of offensive weapon. So if they don't get a quarterback like Love or Herbert, that is a solid place for him to go. All right, going on to number 6, Jalen Reagor out of TCU, 5'11", 194, another speed burner. So this guy, he didn't have the best production in college, but that's because a lot of people also like to point out that he had a really crappy quarterback situation. And honestly, I went to a TCU game, and I saw it with my own eyes. The quarterback play there is just complete garbage. And I think this guy was robbed of us all as a football community being able to watch him be at his full potential. But that being said, he is kind of like a on sale Henry Ruggs type, if we want to continue the sale analogy. And so I'm going to put him a little bit lower as 74.0 impact, because he's a guy who can take the top off of defense. He does have good route running, but he's not some super stud wide receiver that I'd be willing to take in like mid first. But obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if he does go earlier than expected, just because of that athletic potential. So his potential grade is an 85.0. He's a guy who can stretch the defense. He can run pretty good routes. And I think if paired with the correct quarterback and scheme, he'd be able to be an absolute stud, which gives him an overall grade of 77.7. So my comp from is Deshaun Jackson, a guy who works really well at stretching the defense and making sure those safeties stay back. And I think he's going to be a really good weapon when it comes to being able to open the field for other targets, let alone himself. So I gave him an early second draft grade, which is still extremely high. It sounded like I was bagging on him a little bit. This guy is honestly really good. He did have some drop issues, which makes him not a late first for me. But if he can fix that up, which, I mean, even in Tony Gonzalez, he actually spoke to me about this. He said that he dropped a ball in practice, so he caught 500 balls after with the jugs machine. It's like, that's all you have to do. All you have to do is just continue putting in the work, and I think he can fix his hands issues. So I think that he has amazing potential, and a team that really could use him, like it went in the realistic mock draft, is the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers are in need of somebody who can run those routes like a Randall Cobb, and this guy can stretch the defense, and he can work as a slot weapon. So I think that he fits every need that Packers offense desperately needs at the moment. Going on to number 7, Michael Pittman. He's an alumni of my high school. Got to watch him play. Absolutely mesmerizing watching him completely destroy all defenses in his path. This guy is an absolute stud. I kind of want to put him higher, and he is kind of a sleeper for me because I think that he should honestly have a first-round potential. But the fact that he didn't produce in the way that I wanted him early on in his USC career, is the only reason why he's an early second. So his impact is 75.0. You see his frame, 6'4", 220. This guy he's tall and he has the weight. And he's able to run extremely fast, and he's able to run pretty solid routes. So this guy's able to make every single catch that you want him to. He's the best hands in this class, hands down. No pun intended. But his potential is an 87. This guy has immense talent. I think he can be a solid number 1 wide receiver on any team. And it'd be kind of interesting to see him go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, see him pair up with Juju. But let's be realistic here. Steelers won't take another wide receiver. They've already taken 2 in the top 3 rounds of the past couple drafts. Okay. But my NFL comp for him is Des Bryant. So he has that extreme X Factor potential. No pun intended, because Weapon X or not Weapon X, but Des Bryant's old X situation. But I think that he can make any catch that you want. He's able to be a true threat anywhere on the field, and he can run solid routes. So I think his floor is Chris Conley, an athletic guy with some size on him and can catch balls when needed. So my draft grade is early second, and I think he's going to the 49ers. I don't think he's going to be picked early second. I think he's going to be picked late second. But the Niners, they could definitely use a weapon like Michael Pittman, where it's just a taller weapon. They just lost Emmanuel Sanders, and this guy is their possession wide receiver. They have Deebo Samuel, they'll have Henry Ruggs, and then they'll have Michael Pittman. Watch out. Going on to number 8 is Laviska Shenault, 6'2", 220, out of University of Colorado at Boulder. So this guy should have been way higher. However, it's kind of sad to say this, but the injuries really put him down. So His impact is 75.0 because this guy's a gadget player. He's able to do everything. He did so much for that Colorado offense, and I think that he can do anything for any offense, as we'll get to in a second. His potential is an 83. I don't really think it's too high because injuries have really hurt his career, as well as the fact that he is what he is. He's a gadget player, and gadget players don't really have that high of potential. It's kind of like you can't have, the jack of all trades probably isn't as good as specialization if you do anything in econ. Like, specialization is able to make everything better, and I think that the fact that Laviska is just good at everything and not amazing at one thing. I mean, he's amazing after the catch, but he's just not amazing at anything that the wide receiver has to do. Once he has the ball in his hands, he might be like number one in this class, but when it comes to being a wide receiver, he doesn't add that much to the table apart from what he has now. So 77.7, still a solid grade. And I think he's a Cordell Patterson type. This is pretty much a perfect comp. I've seen a lot of people compare him to other players, but I think Patterson is just a perfect one-to-one. It's a guy who you can put in the backfield and be in like scared defenses. You saw Cordell Patterson on the Patriots and the Raiders just take it all the way down the field, like 50, 60-yard runs, just because he can work as a running back as well as a wide receiver. But unfortunately, Cordell Patterson was never that threat wide receiver, and I think Laviska Shenault is going to deal with the same issue. And I think he's going to go to the Bears. I think Cordell Patterson was last on the Bears, and he can work really well in a Matt Nagy-style offense. Going to number 9, KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler out of Penn State, 5'9", 176. I think he's kind of like he's interesting. I believe he's more of a kind of discounted version, if we're continuing this analogy, more of a discounted version of Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs. He is super solid. I believe I watched him on tape, and he was one of the guys I wrote down originally as a first-round draft pick when I first scouted him. And I continued watching him, and I saw these drop problems, and it really scared me. He was dropping easy passes much more often than Jerry Jeudy, but he really started dropping some passes, and he wasn't making that separation with his routes. He was doing it with his speed, and to me, that put me off a little bit. But I believe this guy can work on his routes a little bit, make him a little bit sharper, and he can really grow to a guy who can stretch the field in a way where it can complement almost any scheme. So I'm giving him a 72 impact because it's just, like I said, a discounted version of Reagor and Ruggs. And his potential is an 82 just because I don't think he has the route running ability in his arsenal that the other two guys have, which is still a 75.3, which is a solid grade. But I compared him to Deshaun Jackson as his peak and Eli Rogers as his low. So Eli Rogers, a little bit more athletic than Eli Rogers, but someone who can work in that slot role and then just work as a solid number 4, number 5 wide receiver. So I put him in the second, like mid-second. He's somebody that can really offers a lot of potential, but I see him as less potential than probably other people do. And I think he can go to the Saints. They have Emmanuel Sanders. They have Michael Thomas. And I think they can use a real weapon like a Ted Ginn type. And KJ Hamler really could do that for them. All right, going on to number 10, T. Higgins. He is 6'3", 218 out of Clemson. He is the ultimate possession wide receiver. So I think he's kind of a downgraded version of Michael Pittman. But I mean, a lot of people are saying this guy's worth a first-round pick, and I mean, I could see it. I saw some of those games where he was making these insane catches, but other times he just died out. I just would not find him, and he just didn't surprise me on tape. And I believe he wasn't the best at the combine. I think he ran something near a 4.7 40, and to me, that really, really worries me. And so that's why he has a solid impact grade of 74.0 because he offers someone with some good hands and a good frame. But his potential is not that high because he does not have the athleticism to completely change the game. I never saw his route running as something that was a super threat, and it was just that frame and his catching ability that truly set him apart. I think his teammate Ross, he really has a lot more potential than Higgins does, but that's for next year or the year after, depending on when he comes out. So going back to Higgins, I think that he doesn't have that much potential. I think he's pretty much reached it with his frame and his athleticism, but I think he can offer quite a wide receiver if you need somebody just to be possession wide receiver in that red zone, somebody who you can just lob it up to and then hope that they'll catch it. So that's someone like Alshon Jeffrey, which is his comp. And I mean, it sounds like I'm bagging on this guy, but I'm still saying he's in the top 64, someone who is really talented. And I'm just saying he's number 10 in a stacked draft class and trying to make him sound a little bit worse than everybody else. But this guy is still worth a late second, and he could be worth a first in any other draft. And I think he's going to the Rams. The Rams are losing Brandon Cooks. Cooper Kupp is, I believe, still there. And I think they need a big possession wide receiver. They got their route runner, and then they do need a speed burner. But T. Higgins will offer that potential number 1 big wide receiver. So I think that is really useful for the Rams at this moment, especially since they're in a rebuild. Get somebody in the second who can offer a cheap solution for a long period of time. Okay, guys, well, that is my list. Let me know if you want to hear any more. I do have some more guys on the list. There was a lot of people that I unfortunately had to leave out that I think are early third round talents right next to T. Higgins, like Justin Jefferson, which is a big topic, and I might be making a video on why he's actually extremely overhyped in the future. So let me know if you guys want that. And otherwise, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.